if you know me, you know I do a lot of disturbing content. I like to push the boundaries. I like to see what I'm capable of. That's not for everyone. And this list is not for everyone. If you do want to check out any of my other disturbing videos, I do them pretty regularly. I've done a lot and I've covered a lot. I'll leave a playlist down in the description bar below. These movies that we're talking about today are guaranteed to be traumatic. Guaranteed. I swear there is something on this list that will cross a line for you. If you're after that, keep watching. If you're not, you have been warned. Films like Salo or a Serbian film get brought up time and time again when we talk about really dark cinema. So I wanted to find some films that I believe you probably have missed. If you have seen any on this list, I will be very impressed. Please let me know down in the comments. And if you know a kind of rare movie that fits this bill, please let me know down in the comments as well, because I would love to add that maybe to my next list. And I love your recommendations. You only get to find out about movies that are this dark through other people. So let's get into it, and starting with the film I'd probably recommend the most. Again, you have been warned, but the film that really impacted me and I cannot believe I haven't heard more people speaking about is The Treatment. I will watch almost anything, and like a lot of you, I've become desensitized to a lot of content. But The Treatment really took it out of me. It's been a long time since I've felt this kind of heaviness after a film, and I wouldn't necessarily say I enjoyed the content, but The Treatment is extremely well made. The movie is a dark thriller from Belgium. It's the entwined story of a detective hunting down a brutal child predator that is targeting families, holding them hostage during the unthinkable. But that's not all. The detective that we follow, Nick, is carrying his own personal demons with this predator. The film shows what happens when these two aspects of his life meet, and it's not as predictable as you think. It's a horrific and sad story that depicts these rings and the behavior that carries on over time. The movie is longer, but it is worth the build-up, and the payoff is something that you'll never forget. This is a true disturbing crime thriller that is as hard to watch as it is powerful. And just when you think you've hit peak disturbing, it gets darker. This is the kind of film that some people can't come back from, and with good reason. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely shed a tear or two, but if you're into extreme crime thrillers, this one is for you. Miss Violence is one of the most intense films I've come across, but in a completely different way. The Greek drama thriller starts off with a traumatic death in a seemingly loving, close family unit. It's an event that should affect them all, but as we watch from inside of the walls, we find out that this family is alarmingly unaffected. In fact, something is very wrong here. As the cracks begin to show, the graphic truth of what's really happening within this household is revealed. The film is slow at first because it relies on the subtlety of what's happening to kind of infer its secrets, but it does reveal everything in an extremely graphic way that is bound to stay with you for a while. It sticks to you. It's really interesting how this film shifts from being this drama that's very quiet and subtle but alarming, and then goes into this full graphic outcome. And the worst part of all of this is the director based this story on a true account of something that happened in Germany. The details of this true case are so much more violent and intense than this film even depicts. They didn't even scratch the surface, which is really alarming after you've seen the film and realize that. The film was nominated for 13 awards during its festival rounds, winning 9, including a Silver Lion for Best Director at the Venice Film Festival in 2013. And I'm honestly shocked that so many people could sit together in a room and watch this movie. If I watched this movie with another human being, I would never be able to look at them in the eyes again. This next movie has mostly been scrubbed from existence for a seemingly good reason. This erotic thriller drama is directed by Jennifer Lynch, and it stars Bill Paxton, Sherilyn Fenn, Julian Sands, and even Kurtwood Smith. I don't think any of these actors knew what they were in for. The movie is about a surgeon who becomes obsessed with a woman he once had an affair with. Finding her again, he imposes himself into her life, and after an accident, Helena isn't taken to hospital, but instead is mutilated further by this surgeon who is obsessed with her sexually. I'm gonna warn you, the acting isn't superb in this film, and at times the atmosphere is quite dull. But it truly fits the bill because it's one of the most bizarre and uncomfortable films I've ever seen. The strangeness of the production feels like an alternative reality of Twin Peaks at times. Not only does it star Cheryl and Fenn, but it's directed by David Lynch's daughter, obviously, Jennifer Lynch. And I feel like this is because nothing is explained well, and all of the characters are like nonchalantly psychotic. It's got that same whimsical feeling as Twin Peaks, minus all the charm, so definitely be warned. And Fenn is ruthless in this role. It's such a wild power play about repression and desire. Madonna was actually approached to star as the lead, and Jennifer Lynch has discussed how different the film could have turned out. The movie doesn't have any real gore or violence, just disturbing erotic scenes. It's a bizarre journey to say the least. Let me know if you've seen this one as well below. You'll never forget it if you have. If you are enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments what your favorite disturbing movie is. And if you do want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe, and you can also head over to my Patreon. It's only $2 a month and you'll be supporting everything I do on this channel. Next, let's talk about Heaven Knows. Heaven Knows is a psychological crime drama directed by the Safdie brothers. The movie stars Ariel Holmes and Caleb Laundrie Jones, and it's the complex story of a young woman who is struggling with addiction. We watch her as she struggles between that and her relationship with her boyfriend. And be warned, the film starts with an extremely graphic and bloody scene. It's actually based on the book Mad Love in New York City, which is the memoir of the lead actress Ariel Holmes, who was at the time an addict living on the streets. She actually met the Safdie brothers, who convinced her to write her memoir, and she texts them all of these crazy situations that had happened in her life, and that's where the book and the film came from. The film was shot in such a way that it feels both raw and polished at the same time. The cinematography is really interesting because it has a documentary type feel, with distance created between the subject and the camera, but then for these personal scenes, it's almost too close to their bodies. The long distance scenes were created for a reason as well. It's because there was no shooting permits. They didn't get any shooting permits to film in New York City. And so because they didn't want to alert anyone that they were filming, they just filmed with zoom lenses from a great distance. It's unreal that Holmes was able to relive all of these situations as her debut acting role, and it results in a type of filmmaking that is truly unique and authentic. The rawness almost feels too personal to watch. It's a sad truth for so many people that's bound to leave a scar. 3096 Days is based on the true story of Natasha Kampusch, who was kidnapped at 10 years old and held prisoner for 8 years. The film follows her autobiography, and although many films have been made with similar horrific true stories, this film focuses more on the emotional abuse and really puts you into the mind frame of the victim. It's based on an Austrian story and is technically a German film, but it's presented in English. There's several haunting facts about this film that have stuck with me. Antonia Campbell-Hughes, who plays the lead, lost 29 kilos, that's 63 pounds, to play this role. She said in order to play Natasha, she had to suffer like her. The second fact that really changed the way I thought about this story is that the real Natasha now owns the house that she was kept captive in. She said she didn't want it destroyed or vandalized as it was a big part of her formative years. The film echoes the complexity of the relationship she had with her captor, and although it has a Lifetime type quality, just the thought of this story chills me to the bone. I won't say I hope you enjoyed this video, I'll say I hope you found this list helpful. Again, let me know if there's any disturbing films that you've seen that you would recommend to me or others, and I'll try and check them out and maybe put them in a future video. I've watched a lot of content, so be warned. I probably covered it before, but there are some gold nuggets out there, and some of you guys that watch my videos are so on the same page with me, if you know what I mean. You get it. So again, alert for all of these. I don't want anyone coming back and complaining that they were traumatized. It has happened before, and I will talk to you all very soon in another video, and I promise it will be a little bit lighter. Of course, it kind of has to be. There's nowhere darker to go from here. Stay safe, friends, and stay spooky. Bye.